Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasoolullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Earlier today when we started out our hike, our brother Musab shared with us an understanding of the life and the attitude of the Sahabi Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib radiyallahu anh. And as we reflect on his life and we reflect on the lives of the various Sahabah and the Anbiya, we often find ourselves motivated and we find ourselves inspired and encouraged. We're inspired by their bravery, their fortitude, their deep conviction in the deen that they carried. They put an effort all throughout their lives, from all angles into every single aspect of their life. They put every effort into attaining the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They stood for this deen in its defense and striving for it with the understanding that even if they die on this path, even if they die in the state that they are in, all that matters is that they are pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their actions. All that matters is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with the life that they have lived. We read about our heroes, these great lions of the Ummah as we have described them. Then we look around us and we look around the world and we look at our Ummah, we look at the dire situation of our Ummah today, of our brothers and our sisters, of our mothers and our fathers and our sons and our daughters. And it pains us. And we ask ourselves, where are the lions of the Ummah today? This is the question we are all asking. This is the question being asked across the world today. Where are the lions of the Ummah who will defend our brothers and sisters in Gaza as they are bombed indiscriminately with no homes or hospitals or schools or masajid or even limbs to stand on? Where are the lions of the Ummah today? Where are the lions of the Ummah today when our children, our young sons and daughters of this Ummah are orphaned in Syria? Where are the lions of the Ummah today when our sisters in mass numbers are raped in Sudan and in Burma? Where are the lions of the Ummah today when the riches and the resources of the Ummah are stolen and abused on a daily basis when they are meant to be protecting and serving the Ummah? Where is our Asadullah, Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib radiyallahu anh? Where is our Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu anh, Amir al-Mu'mineen? Where is our Khalid bin Walid radiyallahu anh, Saifullah? Where is our Ammar bin Yasir, who well into his 80s was still fighting battles for the Muslimin? And we can keep on distracting ourselves with these questions, but we have to come to terms with the fact that we are the Muslims today. We have to understand and recognize that we are those Muslims today. We are the people who carry La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasoolullah in our hearts. And what made our heroes, the lions of Islam that we know them as today, was their understanding and carrying this message of Islam. It was them having sabr, persisting on this straight path with conviction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised them the highest reward as long as they strive on this path and remain firm on the commands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set forth for them. So our job as Muslims today, when we see the destruction of the Ummah all around us, it's not just to ask, where are the lions of the Ummah today? Our duty is to be those lions now. Allahu Akbar. Victory of the Ummah, it's in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But every single one of us as individuals, we also must fulfill our responsibilities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set upon us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask every single one of us on our own about everything we did, about everything we should have done. We will not be asked about what anyone else did for the sake of this deen. We will be asked about our own actions and our own lack of action. We will not be asked about anyone else, they will not be asked about us, and they will not be there for you on that day. On the day of judgment, you will not be there for me, and I will not be there for you. Your parents will not be there for you. Your siblings will not be there for you. Your closest friends who you spend every day with will not be there for you, and you will not be there for any one of them. So when we see these tests that we are faced with, we must first remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give any soul a test more than what it's capable of finishing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not charge any soul with more than it can bear. So when we have these tests of the global challenges that the Ummah faces now every single day, we must first have the reassurance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already informed us that passing this test is within our reach. It's not just for us to ask who will do this. These are tests here within our lifetime. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us here, then we are capable of passing this test. Each and every one of us has been entrusted with carrying this deen. We have been entrusted with carrying this message that is the only one true light in this world that is full of darkness. And we will be held accountable on that day of if we spread this light to the rest of mankind. In Surah Al-Hashr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. He says that if we had sent down this Quran upon a mountain, you would have seen it humbled and splitting in the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. And these examples we present to the people so that perhaps they may give thought, perhaps they may give reason, perhaps they may use their mind and contemplate about it. Just think about this hike that we're doing right now. Think about just where we can look over this view right here. We see how much higher we are than the ground below us. Imagine in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the Quran being revealed on a mountain, would have it humbled and splitting in fear. What we're on right now is not even close to being a mountain. This isn't even close to a mountain. Imagine this just completely falling apart in the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this isn't even close to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually describing. This is the weight and the power of this message that we carry as Muslims. Not just in its words as a book, but also in the actions that they translate to. So with this book in our hands, with it in our minds and in our hearts, we have a responsibility now to remain level-headed and confident in our iman, and understand we have a responsibility that as long as we are alive and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us any power or strength, then we must do it justice. So that on that day of judgment, when we are all alone, when no one will be there for us, we are prepared to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say that we did not spend a single minute that was not for His sake and His sake alone. As we have established earlier, we are living in a time when the Ummah is in desperate need of sincere brothers and sisters ready to rise to the occasion. When we witness live the genocide of our brothers and sisters, it is our duty as Muslims to stand up. It is our duty to spread awareness. It is our duty to inform the people of the truth and the reality at hand, and to call for a solution based and rooted in Islam and Islam alone. Earlier I stated to us that the victory of the Ummah is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that each and every one of us has responsibilities Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set for us to fulfill. And this is 100% true. It will be true for every single one of us. But this also does not entail that we work on this alone. When we look to the lions of Islam of the past, the Sahabah and our other great heroes, we see that they did not work alone, rather they worked collectively as brothers and sisters. As Rasoolullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us in a hadith that I'm sure almost every one of us has heard before, a man is on the deen of his close friend. So each one of us must consider whom he takes as a close friend. So for our own sakes, and for the sake of the Ummah at large, we must be careful who we surround ourselves with. We should make an effort to surround ourselves with those people who we look at and see them that these are the lions of the Ummah. If we surround ourselves with these people, we will be able to witness the impact of the efforts we are striving for. But regardless, whether we are alone or whether we are with our brothers, even if we are the only ones around calling for the haqq, we must do so. Because at times that will be the case. There will be times where you are the only one standing for the truth. And we must be confident in our deen to stand there and talk about it. Even if we are somewhere where not a single other person will. We must do our duty to talk about it even if we are alone. Stand there and talk about it. Stand there and talk to whoever will listen to you. Be someone who is looked up to as a leader to the people around you. When the people ask, where are the lions of the Ummah today? Strive to be someone who they would look up to and describe that this is a lion of our Ummah. When the people ask, where are the lions of Islam today? Take them down that path as well. This isn't just for each of us to carry in our own. We spread this message to others, whether they are Muslim or not Muslim. When people are looking for the solutions to the issues plaguing the world today, we help take them down this path. When people are looking for a solution, we show them that the solutions to every problem mankind may face can be found in Islam. So be the voices of this Ummah at a time when many refuse to be that. Be the voices of this Ummah at a time when many fear to be that. Be the voices of this Ummah at a time when many are prevented from even using their voices. And inshallah, through our efforts, we can be counted among those who contributed towards this Ummah's victory. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among the lions of this deen who work towards its revival. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our brothers and sisters in Gaza and hasten the Ummah's victory. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to alleviate the pains of our Ummah in Syria, in Sudan, in Burma, in Yemen, and anywhere where there is a Muslim being oppressed. وآخر دعوانا عن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر.